Hello, this is Rhythm and Roads podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Jacob. We have a very special guest, Bill Hammond. How are you doing, sir?
All right, how are you?
Good, good. Bill Hammond has a great album called Shooting Star, and this goes back almost 33 years?
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit,
It
yeah.
feels like a minute or two.
Yeah, time definitely flies. So, and every time I do listen to that album, it just really takes me back that far back. So, well, welcome, sir. Appreciate you. And I gotta say that when I was getting this moment of sharing emails out, getting contacts with different musicians, you definitely came to mind. I was like, I wonder. I even asked my father. I was like, "Is there a way I can get in touch with Bill?" And he says, "Well, yeah, look him up on Facebook and see if he's around." And you were around, but I didn't know how active you were on Facebook. So I sent that message, and I was like, "Well, let's see if he reads it." And all of a sudden, I get a message back. So this is definitely a blessing to have you on, sir.
Yeah, it's amazing how the internet can connect these worlds and times and places. It's
Yeah,
something.
for real. Yeah. So going to this album, Shooting Star, what was the experience like before this album was made? So like, who came with the idea to do this?
So the idea was mine. I wrote most of the songs for that album in my
Oh, you
college
did.
years.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and those I was living in Santa Barbara for most of the writing
Okay.
and I had all these songs, and I was interested in missions in those years. I did a mission trip to Kenya that
Wow.
touched my life and changed. I wrote the song in Kenya,
Oh, you
uh,
did. Okay.
and people on that trip remember. Oh yeah, I remember that night you were writing that, and I saw all these shooting stars in the African sky in East
Oh,
Africa,
wow. Okay.
and that was written in East Africa. Just wondering, well, what's my life going to be like? Am I going to be back in Africa? And kind of asking God, where do you want me? Question.
Yeah.
And so then the album kind of emerged after college. I was working with youth at a church, and there was a guy there that recorded and made albums for people. And so I was like, man, I'm going to go for it. And I decided to ask him to help me record, and he did. So
Nice.
that was a lot in a few moments. But yeah, some really good memories of rap songs and musician friends in my 20s. And there was just a lot of creative people around me. That was fun to
Wow.
try to work with them and make the music. And
Yeah. So a lot of the songs from this album were based on during that time when you were in college in South Africa, right?
well, we went to college in Santa Barbara and the
Oh, I'm
mission trip
sorry.
to East Africa, to
Okay.
Kenya.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that was a formative experience for me. And there were a large group. It was like 40 of us, and we divided it into two massive teams. And our team we built a church with bricks.
With
And
bricks? Wow.
yeah, we made the bricks and built
That's
its church.
crazy. Okay.
It was crazy. And then the other team worked at a hospital, and they built a fence around the hospital because wildlife would come into the hospital grounds. It
Oh
was,
my God.
yeah, yeah. Oh, here comes a rhino or
Oh,
whatever, or a
right.
water
Oh,
buffalo. You need
right.
to keep the wildlife so the people
That's
going outside for
crazy.
their walk wouldn't get hurt.
Oh man. That's
So there's
insane.
places out there, it's pretty wild.
Oh yeah. That's an adventure itself. So that
Yeah, it
song,
was an
yeah, I bet. And you ever traveled anywhere else outside the
yeah,
country?
a lot of places. So in was as you and I met is because later on I joined Youth with a Mission. I
Ah,
met your dad and your mom, and you were four. You were a
man.
little boy,
That's
and
how far back we're
we
going,
went to.
guys. Since I was four.
We're going way back,
Yes.
and in the way back file, we went to Thailand
Mm.
after being trained in Montana, and in Thailand, man, that was another world. We had to learn how to say a few words and try to do something meaningful there, and that was pretty fun. And
Oh,
music was a bridge for us.
all right, right. So with the music, I mean, I going back to what we talked about earlier is that you guys got invited to play at a bar or lounge?
Yeah, so our leader Ron, guy had this really nice kind of club bar, and we were there during the Christmas break, which was interesting. In Thailand, you don't think of Buddhist Thailand, they're into Christmas, but they had in the bar the full Christmas tree stage, and it
Oh wow.
was kind of tinsel and lit up, and we thought, oh, let's try to play there. And so he set us up and said, yeah, well, I've got us a few nights and we're going to play at this bar.
That's cool.
And we're like, what are we going to play? And so I wound up being a drummer because nobody else could play, and I'm usually a guitar guy.
Yeah.
And so I played drums, and your dad played electric guitar, I think.
Okay.
My friend Sean played a acoustic. We had a trumpet player and a sax player,
Yeah. I remember the
and
video on that.
somebody else played the bass. Maybe your dad played the bass or guitar, one of the two, I forget.
Okay.
And yeah, there's pictures of it. And then, oh yeah, that's what we did. Because wow, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, I
And then we
bet.
did this. We did a set of music. It was kind of rock from that period in the '80s. And then we did the skit where I was the evil cowboy, and it was
Yeah.
kind of like cowboy music. And I was
Yeah,
dressed
yeah.
in black.
Right.
And then the good guy cowboy was kind of this Christ figure, and he rose
Right.
from the dead symbolically, and
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
kind of metaphor language, but they got the big idea, like
Yeah.
good and evil, and good overcomes evil, and
Yeah,
yeah,
they
it
got
was
the yeah, and I remember that. And was Ron the one who was playing I guess the other cowboy who was wearing white? Or what was that guy's name?
Ron.
It was
Ron was the
Ron?
good cowboy,
Okay.
and
Yeah, yeah.
Ron trained us how to do the whole thing.
Oh, he
It
did?
had the
Okay.
it had the soundtrack that they created,
Yeah,
and so
actually I remember that. Yeah.
yeah, it had a storyline and all these cowboy moves, and kind of a square dance vibe, and
Right,
yeah, it was like yeehaw and oh, what's this? So it had this curiosity country music factor, and
right.
so
Yeah.
from another country thought, what's this? What's this? So it was interesting, but then it told a story too. So it was a way to tell the story of the gospel a little bit, and
Yeah.
it kind of worked.
Yeah, it worked out, right? And so
Yeah, yeah.
was this created like in a matter of a few weeks, or like how far back did you guys already have this planned out in a while, or was it just more like, hey, let's just create this skit and go with it? All right.
That's a good question. They had used the skit before our group, so
Oh, they did. Okay.
they had this skit like in their ideas for use. So Ron and that year's team trained us on how to do it, and they had created the track. I don't know, a year or two before our group. So we weren't the only ones that had done it, but
Oh, I see.
Ron was a key guy in Ron Brewster. He was a key guy in showing us and training us how to do it and
Yeah.
how to get the message across. It was pretty fun.
No, I bet. Yeah. And actually there's a VHS that my father owns. I don't know where it's at, but there was footage from that bar lounge where you guys were at, where you guys were playing those 80 songs. And I remember listening to like
Yeah.
Who Stopped the Rain, or what was it called? Who
Yeah, yeah.
That one. There was
That's
also there was another one. Uh have you ever seen the rain? That's the song. Have you ever
yeah.
seen it? Yeah, that was that. And then another song. I mean, I remember listening to them. I was like, even as a kid, I was like, those are catchy songs, man. Like, I didn't know these songs. I mean, when I was young, but I still liked them. I liked how you guys played them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I was like, wow. Then I come to realize these were
Yeah.
actual songs from other artists. I thought they were like from you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and I still like the songs. I'm
So
still
do
playing
I.
them.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you still liked them.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Creedence Clearwater Revival. They never get
Yeah,
old.
that one. Yeah, yeah. Remember that group? Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. They're still,
so as a kid at 4 or 5 years old, listening to your album "Shooting Star," I mean that's how far back I go with listening to your songs. Because
that's amazing.
yeah, my mom and I would be doing some house cleaning and doing all that around, and we had your cassette and we played it, and I remember I just rocked out with it. You got me to do some air guitar, where I was pretending I was
Oh,
playing.
air guitar is
Yeah,
awesome.
I was doing that. Yeah, and I felt like for One Life. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to ask, but that's the title of the song, right? One Life, or what's the name of it?
So that song, Only One Life.
Only One Life.
So
Okay,
yeah, and the idea is, what do you do with your one life?
that's right.
Uh, And the question, if there's only one life, well, then you got to live it right. You don't want to waste it, right?
Right.
So that's the theme of that song. And
And it's a very good song.
asking, oh, thanks. Yeah, and it's co-written with the guy Pete Welty.
Okay.
Pete wrote the music and played the guitar solo in it. And Pete's a pastor in the area here, and
Oh,
he's
he
still
is? Oh,
rocking for the
nice.
Lord. Yeah, yeah, he's
Oh,
a good
cool.
guy.
And you guys
Yeah,
keep in touch?
yeah. I
Yeah.
talked to him a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we're kind of we're kind of rock and roll buddies and have parallel lives. It seems like, but
You guys never thought about doing something together, like maybe write a single? I don't know.
we so a number of tracks that are on the my Facebook. So I have my main Facebook, Bill Hammond, and then there's Bill Hammond Music.
Oh, okay.
So a number of tracks on that one are co-written with Pete.
Oh, wow.
So let's
Okay.
see. So the ones co-written with Pete are first up in that ham and eggs is what I call my SoundCloud page. So Children of the Nuclear Age, Time for the News, On the Wind. I really like the On the Wind
On the
song.
Wind? Okay.
Yeah, it's a very California song considering like the life as a sunset.
Oh,
And
wow.
so
Okay.
as you think of the sunset, it's like and the wind is the metaphor of the spirit,
Right,
and
right,
our lives are on the wind. So
right,
in the wind decides where we go. So are we submitted to it and celebrating this moment or
mhm,
not?
right.
And that on the wind, I really like the language. It's more poetry. Uh and of things I've written, I'm more proud of that one than some of the others, but
Oh, really? Okay.
that's a good,
I'll have you check that
yeah,
out.
on the
Yeah.
wind. Yeah,
On the
check out
Wind.
On the Wind.
On the Wind.
It's I was influenced by a guy named Bruce Coburn.
Okay.
He's a Canadian artist with a bunch of Juno awards, but my favorite album of his was called Dancing in the Dragon's Jaws.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's just
What a
gorgeous.
title.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, and he took his title from an author where it's celebrating in the life that's dangerous and difficult. Do we dance in the dragon's jaws? Do we celebrate life in even if it's crazy around us?
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
that album was acoustic guitar mostly, but it's just gorgeous poetry and music. And that album was a major influence for me on Shooting Star.
Oh, that
I got to
inspired you?
meet one.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. His style, his poetry,
You're
his
right.
imagery, his musicality. The guy is a genius level artist, and I've
Awesome.
followed his
Awesome.
story my whole life. But
Wow.
yeah,
That's really cool. And so going back to Shooting Star, The Fire of Love,
yes.
that's pretty deep. I remember that song and I was just like, wow, like the lyrics and everything about it. So tell me a bit of how you like what was the point in your time that you wrote this song? Was it something that you were going through, something that you just more
Mhm.
realization of God's love?
It was a number of things. Similarly, I was influenced by Bruce Coburn's style of poetry, but keep my heart warm in the fire of love. And the basic language is asking the question, how do we keep love alive? How do we
Mm,
keep it from dying?
mm,
How do we keep our hearts from going cold?
mm-hmm,
And it's uh it's a battle.
mm,
So it's a prayer asking God, can you keep my heart warm in the fire of love? Because if God is love, we need to be consumed by his love and not other things.
mm-hmm.
And it's so easy. So I think I was looking around and seeing people uh, lose their faith or quit
Oh, I see. Okay.
or and then I was asking God, keep me from falling away, keep me from growing cold.
Mm.
Um, and then it's kind of tangled up with some romance things. I was seeing a gal at the time, and I'm like, is this the one? And
Oh, oh, okay.
I loved her, but could it work? And
Ah,
so it's like in those things, how do we keep love alive when there's conflict? How do you resolve conflict?
mm-hmm.
And then so she's even singing on the song. So it's kind of like this, can we sort this out? And can this work? and all those questions you ask when you meet somebody and you think they're pretty special, and you wonder,
Hmm.
how do I sort this out? And can this work? So all those questions are nuanced into there.
Wow. Okay. So that song's
Yeah.
inspired by that. Some relationships, your relationship with
Yeah.
God, questioning
Yeah.
love, even from
Yeah.
both sides. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And then
wow.
just that,
Okay.
yeah, how do we keep love from growing cold?
Hmm.
Um, so it's a prayer to stay warm in what is true love, not just the illusion of it.
Right. Man, that's deep. No wonder I connected to that song. So like, there's some story behind this song. There has to be because this song is really great. So
There's
now that
layers of stories.
yeah,
Yeah. I hope it connects and means something more to you than I've tried to write it in poetic language so people could translate it to their story.
oh really? Okay. You ever thought about re-releasing that song? Maybe like doing an acoustic version of just I don't know, writing it for a show.
Oh, that's an idea, and I haven't thought of it, but now I'll give you credit for thinking of it.
Well, I mean, because it is a good song, and a lot of artists these days they use songs back in the day, but they bring it back and they do in a different feel of it, and then even it's just acoustic. But I mean, hearing you,
That's a nice idea.
you know what I mean? So that song is so good in the way it just sounds of just you singing it that if it's just added on with a guitar, there you go. You
That's
know?
really nice. I did
Yes.
the guitar solo in that one, and I was one of the solos that I was proud of. Like
Okay.
it was melodic. I thought that solo guitar wise was a nicer solo, and I'm like, yeah, I liked that solo.
Yeah, there you go.
And
Nice.
usually I would hand the solo to somebody else and go, all right, you take the solo, but that's the one I wanted to do, and I still like it.
No, I'm glad you do.
So
But I hope you
yeah.
do. I hope you do a little acoustic version of it. That'd be cool. You
Well,
know.
thanks for the encouragement, Joshua. That's
Yeah.
nice to hear.
Yeah. Hopefully after this podcast you'll get your guitar and say, okay, let me see. Let's see what magic I can get out of it.
That's pretty good. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. So the Shooting Star album, like at that time when everything was done, was there ever where you played at other shows? Was there any time where you actually went on a little tour? Like, was there other like maybe churches or hey, can you come and play the songs from that album? You know what I mean? Like when someone releases a cassette or a
Mhm.
track, they would want them to
Yeah,
play.
I would play for at that time I was a youth worker, and I would play for little youth events, or some of my friends that would have me over to play for their youth groups.
Oh,
I was
cool.
never any really big time or anything. I didn't have a tour. I didn't have a budget. I was 20 something poor guy, and
How
but
old were
I
you?
told 20 something at the time.
Oh, and
Well, I
that
think I
wow,
when
okay.
it came out I was 21, 22.
21
So
or 22 when that cassette came out?
yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, that's so that was 86, 87
Gee,
about when
that's
it came out.
amazing.
And yeah, it was stories from my life really. And so
Yeah.
I had these songs written since I was 18, 19, 20, 21. So I just gathered them
You
all
just got
and
them all. Okay.
recorded them.
Did
And
you ever play any of these? Well, I mean, did you play any of these songs live for anyone? Like the
yeah, oh
church?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh
So
yeah.
only one live, was there a full band, of course, like the whole set?
Yes. We at
Oh,
the
that's so
time
cool.
in my 20s we put a band together and we played at Mount Hermon,
Uh-huh.
and we did a live recording, and then we put it on an album called Storm Warning,
Oh
and that
wow.
was the
Okay.
name of the band. It was a four piece band, and sometimes five-piece. uh and that Storm Warning, we did that song and a couple others, and then the keyboard guy had another song. And yeah, so those people are all still around, and
Oh wow,
a
that's good.
reunion tour, right? I
Yay,
don't know
why
if we'll
don't
ever
you?
do. Our bass player is a professor in Chicago, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, our drummer's in the Bay Area, and it'd be funny. It would be a funny reunion.
Yeah.
But yeah, we played it mostly in California, in the Bay Area, and
Okay.
that was fun. Yeah.
So is there any way we can if someone wanted to buy a track or buy your album, is there a way in the future that could be provided for the Shooting Star?
So all of it is free listen on SoundCloud, and
Okay.
so if you point people to Bill Hammond music, it's there. My SoundCloud, this is funny, is Hammond Eggs with no period.
Ham and
But I
eggs.
found out
Okay.
looking for myself, it's Hammond, my last name, and then eggs.
Oh,
I
okay.
found out there's 7 other Hammond eggs on SoundCloud.
Wow.
It's hilarious. So
Wow.
mine's one of the older ones at the bottom with a picture
Okay.
of me in my derby hat, my black
Yeah, your
derby
derby
hat.
hat.
And
Okay.
yeah, so the
You're
other
like,
ones are
well,
like there's one from the UK and a
oh
few other
wow.
ones, and I'm like, I guess it's
Okay.
not very original.
Right. It's
Everybody
like,
with my
well,
last name, they call us Hammond Eggs. That
I
was
guess
what they called
so.
me as a kid.
Oh, is that what they called you as a kid? Ham and eggs?
Yeah, because Hammond Eggs, ham bone.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Anyway, it
Which
is.
Which Christian artist back when or even now has inspired you as an artist yourself? Like for me,
I
like
mentioned.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh no, just for me,
For
like there's
you.
Petra. When I was growing up, Petra, there was Striper, and then of course Brian Duncan, which I did have a
Yeah.
interview with him a few weeks ago, and there was a song. So when I interviewed him a few weeks ago, but there was a question that I asked him about a song, and it's called "Lonely Tonight." And so your
Yeah.
song "Fire of Love" reminds me a little bit of that feel. I don't know if you ever listened to "Lonely
Ah,
Tonight" by
I
Brian
should
Duncan.
listen to that.
So I complimented him about it, and he was like, not a lot of people tell me about that they like. I mean, not that they're probably aware of that song, but he's like, it's very rare that I hear people tell me they like "Lonely Tonight." I'm like, well, it's a really good song. It's very deep, and it's about just what you kind of described on "Fire of Love." Just hey, I know Jesus, I know God, but I'm still lonely, and there's times I struggle with
Mm,
that, and it's about like that. Hey, I have a relationship and all that, but I still feel lonely through my
yeah,
walk and all that. So that song's a little inspired like that.
that's good. I really like the honest songs that talk about the struggle. There's
Yes,
something about that identifies that we're all human, and so if
yes,
it's
of
too
course.
nice, then it's like, and that's what I've failed to do sometimes is be vulnerable enough in songwriting to say something that people go, oh, now you're saying something. And
Mm.
so when I was younger, my artists growing up were Larry Norman, Phil Keaggy, and Randy Stonehill. That guy. So when I was
Uh,
growing up, they were all the thing. I learned all those guys' songs.
oh,
And
nice.
then Phil Keaggy, I still follow that guy. Larry passed away. Randy's still playing,
Oh, wow. Okay.
but and he's yeah. So but those were my influences growing up. And then I mentioned Bruce Coburn. He's a believer, but his music is more poetic and sometimes political. And Canadian guy, but man, I like that guy's stuff. And
Yeah.
there's a book
Mm.
about his life. He wrote an autobiography, and I
Oh,
got to
nice.
meet
Okay.
him in San Francisco once at one of his shows, and I was like, wow. So anyway, he's those people influenced me.
Yeah. Nice, nice. You ever thought about writing a
Yeah.
book?
Uh, I had a guy that played in my worship band,
Okay.
Richard Moore, and he was the song Wild Thing,
Oh
You
yeah,
Make
yeah,
My Heart Sing. Well,
yeah.
he was in the band with the Trogs,
Oh wow.
and
Okay.
he his life story with me and photos and stuff, and then he wanted to get me to write his book. So we were talking about me writing his life story, and I would be like the the helper, or whatever you call the ghost writer, to
Oh
help
okay.
him write his life story.
Mm-hmm.
And we were working on that, and then he got sick and got cancer, and then he died.
Oh
So I was
man.
like,
Wow.
oh, this opportunity lost. And
Oh.
all the musicians around here in Chico remember Richard, because he was a killer lead guitar player. He just could just wail and get everybody
Oh man.
excited. And he would do these just licks and taps, and it was just, he would take a moment and it would just, the lid would come off.
Oh man.
And
That's awesome.
he was an exciting person, really loving person. And
Yeah.
I miss Richard. But there's a guy whose book I almost wrote. And it didn't happen. And it was an opportunity missed. And I'm sad about it, but I
Yeah.
miss Richard. We'll see him in the great concert in the sky.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's definitely gonna be a concert in the sky. So
Or
okay,
maybe it'll be down here.
right. Well,
Ma-
then if you were inspired to write a book or be the ghostwriter for someone else, why not your own?
That's the thought, and
I mean, you have a
it'd be
lot
tricky.
to share from the whole missionary with youth with a mission, right? Youth with a mission, or
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
with
what it was.
yeah, and then your story, like you just told me about college. I mean, the whole about your
Mhm.
album. I mean, there's so much you can add. Your current albums, just life. It doesn't have to be like a
Yeah,
big thick book, but hey, a couple, 200 pages the most.
yeah. That's a good thought. Maybe so. I don't have time to write it now. I'm studying to be a music teacher.
Oh, you are? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
That's
I'm in
cool.
the credential program at Chico State and I'm
Oh,
teaching
nice.
kids music. And
Oh, that's
so
cool.
it's a strange baton turn around to the next
Mm,
generation. I learned music in public school and I wanted kids to have music in their future.
that's
There's
awesome.
something,
That's very cool.
music is a tool that taps into the just deep things in the heart. And I
Love
just
it.
want
Love
kids
it.
to have music.
That's
So
awesome. I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad you're helping the future musicians, artists. So that's very
that's
cool.
my hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Keep,
Well, Bill,
keep music in your life.
yes, yes, please do. And I'm glad, I'm so glad God put so much talent in you in writing, in the way your voice is and singing and playing everything. It just like I said, I go back on your album since I was a kid. So I even when I first heard
Wow.
that song after so many years from SoundCloud because my dad found that album, I was like, oh
Mm.
man, I was like, that took me back to a lot of memories since I was a kid. It really did, and it still
I'm so
does.
grateful.
It still does. That's why
I'm so
it's
grateful.
a pleasure to have you on, sir. Because I've been a
It's a
fan,
pleasure to be here.
and I
Thank
wish
you
I
so
was.
much.
Yeah, I wish I was old enough when you brought that album out, where I could hear you live and play the songs.
Oh yeah.
It's like, man, that would have been
Come over.
great to
I'll play
be.
it for you live.
I'll bring my drum set.
Oh yeah, I can see the drum kit. I
Yeah,
love
there you
it.
go. Yeah, yeah. So
Well,
I've
is
been.
that what is it? A Pearl or what is that?
It's a Premiere.
Premiere.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, a brand called
Good
Premiere.
kit.
Yeah, but
Excellent.
but yeah, I've been playing over 10 years, and so it's been a good journey. I have some other
Excellent.
opportunities that might come up in the early new year, but we'll see what God does with that. But
Beautiful.
yeah, but thank you again, Bill, for coming on, and I really hope
Uh,
just I don't know, like do something so much with those songs, Fire of Love or Only One Life.
Thank you.
Even if it's an acoustic version, even with Only One
Yeah.
Life, who knows what you can come out with that. The acoustic version
Right.
playing Only One Life, something different. I don't know. And a book.
Thank you for the suggestions.
Yeah.
And a book.
Yeah.
You're gonna
And the
keep me
thing,
busy.
the thing about a book is that you could always take your time with it, every now and then add a little page. I mean, type something. And by the time
Mhm.
you know it, wow, I'm already at 100 pages. I don't know. But I just, to read your story, it would just be like, oh my God, this is amazing.
That's fun. Thank you for thinking of that. And I'll consider it.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. All right, Bill. Well, thank you again for coming on Rhythm and Roads. And it was
Thank you.
such a pleasure. All
It's
right,
a
guys,
pleasure.
we'll catch you on the next episode.